All right, everybody, buckle up, because today we're diving into the world of data science.
Ooh, data science. Exciting.
It really is. I feel like it's everywhere these days. Like just the other day, I was reading an article, you're not going to believe this, about AI writing poetry.
AI poets.
Yeah.
What will they think of next?
I know, right? And then right after that, my friend messaged me about landing this data science job. And let me tell you, it sounds more like a winning lottery ticket than a 9 to 5.
I can believe that. It's a pretty hot field right now.
That's an understatement. But honestly, it's starting to feel like everyone's speaking this like secret data science language and I'm left out of the loop.
I get what you mean.
So what is this deep dive all about? Well, it's about taking all that data science mystery, all that jargon, all the hype, and just, breaking it down.
Demystifying data science.
Exactly. Whether you're thinking about switching careers or you're just curious, or maybe you want to be able to call BS on your friends' "I can talk to robots" claim.
We've got you covered.
Yeah, we do. So let's bring in our expert who can help us decode all of this. Welcome to the show.
It's great to be here. You're right, there's definitely a lot of buzz out there about data science. But at its core, it's really all about using data to solve real-world problems.
Okay, so problem solving with data, that makes sense. But how does that actually work in practice?
It's a blend of math, coding, and a little bit of detective work, actually.
Data detective. I like the sound of that.
It's more exciting than it sounds.
Yeah.
For example, think about that chatbot everyone and their grandma is talking about, ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah, ChatGPT. It's like it can do it all. Write you a Shakespearean sonnet 1 minute and then debug your code the next.
Well, ChatGPT and a lot of these new generative AI tools we're seeing pop up, they're actually built using, you guessed it, data science principles. It's all about training these algorithms on massive amounts of information so they can learn patterns, make predictions, and even get creative.
So it's not just about staring at spreadsheets all day.
No. That's a common misconception. Data science is way more dynamic than just spreadsheets. Think of it more like a movie set. You've got all these different roles, each with their own unique skills, working together to create something amazing. You can't have a blockbuster film with just a director.
You need the whole crew. The cinematographer, the sound engineer, the costume designer.
Exactly. Data science is the same way. There's a whole team of specialists behind the scenes.
So who are the key players on this data science film set? What roles are we talking about here?
Well, let's start with the data engineer. They're kind of like the architects, laying the groundwork for everything else. They build and maintain the systems that collect, store, and make data accessible.
So without them, we wouldn't even have data to work with in the first place.
Exactly. They make sure the data flows smoothly from where it's collected to where it needs to go. Imagine trying to bake a cake without first gathering your ingredients and making sure your oven works. Chaos.
A recipe for disaster.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got our ingredients prepped and ready to go thanks to our data engineer. Who takes over from there?
Next up, we have the data analyst. If the data engineer is the architect, the data analyst is like the detective. They're the ones who dig into the data, clean it up, find those hidden patterns and trends.
Oh, so they're the ones who get their hands dirty, so to speak.
That's a good way to put it. They're looking for clues, trying to understand what the data is telling us.
So they're like the Sherlock Holmes of data, except instead of a magnifying glass, they've got algorithms and code.
Exactly. And their findings are what set the stage for the next key player, the data scientist.
Ooh, the data scientist, the title everyone wants. What do they bring to the table?
The data scientists are the ones who take those insights uncovered by the data analyst, and they use them to build predictive models and answer those big picture questions.
So they're not just looking at what happened in the past, they're trying to predict the future.
Exactly. They might use machine learning algorithms, statistical modeling, all sorts of fancy techniques to build models that can forecast future trends, make recommendations, or even automate decisions.
That sounds incredibly powerful and also a little bit intimidating. So we've got our data engineer, our data analyst, our data scientist. Is that everyone on our data science movie set?
Almost. I knew I was forgetting someone. We can't forget the machine learning engineer. They're like that tech-savvy cousin of the data scientist, often working with even larger data sets and more complex systems.
Okay, so think like self-driving cars, personalized recommendations on your favorite streaming service, that level of complexity.
Exactly. They're pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI and machine learning.
This is already blowing my mind, and we're just getting started.
And we're just scratching the surface.
I have to admit, though, I'm starting to get a bit of that deer in the headlights feeling. What do I actually need to know to dip my toes into this world? Do I need to become a math whiz overnight?
That's a common fear. But the good news is, You don't need to know everything to get started. It's more about building blocks, one step at a time.
So it's like learning a new language. You wouldn't expect to be fluent on day one, right?
Exactly. You start with the basics and gradually expand your knowledge and skills. No need to rush into the deep end right away.
Okay, that's a relief. So where do we even begin with this new language of data science? Where should our listeners focus their energy first? So where do we even begin with this new language of data science? Where should our listeners focus their energy first?
That is the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I think a good place to start is by thinking about it in terms of two main areas. So we've got the technical skills,
Okay.
and then we've got those like all-important soft skills. And those are both equally important.
Right. It's not just about the hard skills. It's about how you use them, how you communicate, all of that.
Exactly.
But let's talk tech first. What's in the essential toolkit for a budding data scientist?
Well, if you're serious about data science, then you've got to make friends with Python.
Python, heard of it?
Yeah, it's the most popular language for a reason. It's super versatile. It's relatively easy to learn. And there's just this massive community of users who are always creating new tools and resources. And don't worry if you've never coded before. There are tons of beginner-friendly tutorials out there.
I've played around with Python a bit, and I get why it's so popular. It almost feels like cheating, how easy it is to use.
Right. And once you start getting the hang of it, then as you go deeper into using Python for data science, you're going to come across libraries like NumPy and Pandas. And these are like pre-built toolboxes with tons of functions and methods specifically designed for, handling data, analyzing data.
So they make your life easier as a data scientist.
Oh, absolutely.
What do these magical libraries actually do? Break them down for us.
Okay. So NumPy, that's your go-to for anything numerical. Think crunching numbers faster than you can say spreadsheets.
Sign me up.
Exactly. Then you've got Pandas, which is amazing for working with data that's in a tabular format.
Mm-hmm.
So that's your, cleaning, organizing, all that fun stuff we talked about earlier, getting those messy data sets into shape.
You had me at crunching numbers faster. So Python, NumPy, Pandas got it. Anything else our listeners should have on their radar as they're exploring the world of data science?
So you might come across a language called R, which is pretty popular in like certain research fields. It's got a bit of a steeper learning curve than Python, I'd say, but it's a powerful tool when used for those specific statistical tasks. But don't feel like you need to master both at the same time.
Right. Start with one, get comfortable, and then branch out.
Exactly. You'll naturally kind of encounter them as you keep learning and keep doing projects. And that's the most important thing is just get your hands dirty, with real world projects. That's where the real learning happens.
Where the fun begins.
Exactly.
Speaking of real world skills, we touched on this a bit earlier, but let's dive into those soft skills you mentioned. I think those can sometimes feel a bit vague and mysterious. Like, what does that even mean in the context of data science?
Yeah, they're definitely not as tangible as, coding languages or specific tools.
Right.
But they are absolutely essential for success in this field. I mean it when I say that.
So what's at the top of your list when it comes to essential soft skills for aspiring data scientists?
Communication. It's got to be communication.
Okay, communication makes sense because you're not just analyzing data in a vacuum, right? You've got to be able to share those insights with others.
Exactly. You've got to be able to explain what you found, and often to people who don't eat, sleep, and breathe data. So imagine you've just uncovered this incredible insight, something that could save your company millions of dollars.
Okay, so we've got our aha moment.
Right. But if you can't communicate that effectively to the decision makers, to the people who can actually act on that information, then your brilliant discovery, it's basically useless.
Yeah, it's almost like it didn't even happen.
Exactly.
It's about bridging that gap between the data itself and the real-world impact that it can have, right?
Yes, 100%. And that actually brings us to another super important soft skill, which is problem solving.
Okay, love it. Problem solving.
Because remember we were talking about how data is often messy and chaotic. Well, that's where the problem solving comes in. You have to be able to ask the right questions, figure out how to make sense of that chaos, and, find the story hidden in the data.
So you're not just a data analyst, you're a data detective. You're putting those problem-solving skills to the test.
Exactly. You're piecing together a puzzle. Sometimes you have all the pieces. Sometimes you're missing a few.
Right. You got to be resourceful.
Exactly. And you know what else is super important? We kind of touched on it before, collaboration.
Okay. So I can't just lock myself in a room with my Python scripts and just emerge as this data guru.
You could try, but it wouldn't be as much fun because you're going to be working with people from different backgrounds with different areas of expertise. And that diversity of thought, I think, is so valuable when you're trying to solve complex problems.
It's like that saying, two heads are better than one, or in this case, maybe two data-loving brains are better than one.
That's a good one. I like that. Because, yeah, that's where I think the real magic happens. When you can bounce ideas off each other, challenge assumptions, and just come up with more creative solutions that you might not have thought of on your own.
Collaboration is key. I'm hearing that loud and clear.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so we've covered the what? The roles, these essential skills, the hard skills, the soft skills. Now let's get to the good stuff, the how. Where do you even begin to learn all this amazing stuff?
Don't worry, we've got you covered. There are so many resources out there. You've got free resources, you've got paid resources. So let's start with some of the, free gems,
Okay, free is my favorite price point, so lay it on us. What are some free resources that can help our listeners start their data science learning adventure without breaking the bank? Okay, free is my favorite price point, so lay it on us. What are some free resources that can help our listeners start their data science learning adventure without breaking the bank?
All right, so if you're totally new to this whole coding thing,
Yeah,
the 100 Days of Code Challenge,
I've heard of that.
it's great. It's a really great way to just build that daily habit. It's all about, committing to coding for at least an hour a day, every day, for 100 days.
Like a coding boot camp, but you're the drill sergeant.
Exactly. And you don't have to, build the next Google in 100 days. It's really just about, getting that consistency, building that muscle memory.
Small steps, big results.
Exactly.
I love that. What about those amazing Python libraries we were talking about before?
Oh, yeah.
NumPy and Pandas? Any tips for those?
Both NumPy and Pandas have really great quick start guides on their websites,
Oh, perfect.
which are free.
Even better.
And they walk you through the basics. Clear explanations, practical examples. It's really cool to see how quickly you can start manipulating and analyzing data with just a few lines of code.
Practical and to the point. That's what I like to hear. Now, I'm a very visual learner. I need to see it to believe it. Any recommendations for resources that really cater to those of us who learn best by watching?
YouTube is your best friend.
Okay.
Seriously, there is so much great data science content on YouTube. One channel I always recommend is 3 Blue 1 Brown. They have this amazing way of taking really complex math concepts.
Yeah, math can be intimidating.
And making them feel really intuitive and even beautiful to look at. They do really cool visualizations.
I've seen their videos. They're mesmerizing, those animations.
I know, right? And then for a more fun and quirky take on statistics, you got to check out StatQuest.
So StatQuest, I'll check it out.
It's great. It's like Schoolhouse Rock, but for data science.
I love it.
So you'd be singing about statistical significance before you know it.
All right, so we've got this treasure trove of free resources. What about for those who are ready to level up and maybe invest a little bit in their data science journey? What are your top picks for paid resources?
When it comes to paid online courses, I think Udemy is a great place to start.
It's got everything.
But word of advice, don't feel like you have to go for a general data science course.
Yeah.
There are so many out there, and those can sometimes be a little too broad.
Right. You get lost in the weeds.
Exactly. So I would say look for more highly rated specialized courses, maybe that focus on the specific tools or techniques you want to master.
So instead of just Data Science 101, maybe something like Mastering Data Visualization with Python.
Exactly. Much more valuable, and you get so much more out of it.
So much more targeted.
Yes. And speaking of targeted learning, there are some really great books out there that can really help you deepen your understanding of the theory behind data science. And one that always comes to mind is Probability and Statistics by Hines. A classic,
Back to basics, never a bad idea. But I have to admit, sometimes I need something a little more hands-on, I learn best by doing.
Oh, absolutely. For something more practical, check out Hands-on Machine Learning with Scikit-learn and TensorFlow.
Okay, writing this down.
This book is amazing because it walks you through building real-world projects. So you're not just passively reading about these concepts, you're actually applying them, which is huge.
Hands-on is where it's at. That's how you really learn.
Exactly. It makes it stick so much better.
Totally. Now, another thing that I've heard a lot of buzz about is data science boot camps.
Yeah.
What's the deal with those? Are they worth the hype?
Yeah, they're definitely having a moment.
Yeah.
And for good reason. I mean, they can be a really incredible way to like supercharge your learning and connect with other passionate data enthusiasts.
Finding an immersive experience.
Exactly. And you're surrounded by people who are on the same journey as you, which is super motivating.
Built-in support system.
Yes. But, like with any investment, it's important to do your research and choose wisely. Look for programs that have a strong emphasis on practical projects, that have a supportive community and that have like a realistic timeline. You're not going to become a data science wizard in 3 months.
Exactly. It's a journey.
It is. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Okay, I love that analogy. It's about building those solid foundations, not chasing shortcuts. So let's say our listeners have been diligently honing their skills, devouring courses and books like a data-hungry machine. What's next? How do they translate all that knowledge into an actual data science career? How do they make their dreams a reality?
That is the golden question, right? And the good news is there are definitely concrete steps you can take to, increase your odds of landing that dream data science gig.
Lay it on me. What's step one?
All right, step one, build your online presence. And I'm not just talking about sprucing up your LinkedIn profile.
Okay.
For data scientists, GitHub is your best friend.
GitHub. Now, for any of our listeners who might not be familiar, what exactly is GitHub and why is it so crucial for aspiring data scientists?
Think of it as your online portfolio, but instead of showcasing, your paintings or photographs, you're showcasing your code.
Oh, I love that. So you're showing, not just telling.
Exactly. It's a place where you can host your projects, demonstrate your coding skills, collaborate with others, like a living, breathing resume that really proves that you can walk the walk, not just talk the talk.
So it's not enough to just say, oh yeah, I'm great at Python. You've got to be able to back it up.
Exactly. It's like, here's the proof, here's the code.
I love it. So we're building our GitHub profile. What else can give aspiring data scientists an edge in a competitive job market?
I would say focus on projects, and not just any projects, but research implementation.
Research implementation. Okay, that sounds both intriguing and slightly intimidating. What exactly does research implementation involve?
All right, so there's tons of fascinating research papers published in the data science world all the time, exploring new algorithms, new techniques, new applications. And essentially, research implementation is all about taking one of those papers, something that really interests you, and actually trying to implement the ideas in your own code.
So it's like taking those theoretical research findings and translating them into something tangible and real-world applicable.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. It's a fantastic way to, first of all, make sure you really understand the concepts, because there's no better way to learn than by doing.
Right. Put it to the test.
Right. And second of all, it shows potential employers that you're not afraid to dive into complex topics and that you can apply those concepts to real-world problems. Plus, it's a great way to force yourself to learn new tools, new techniques.
It's like taking those skills to the next level.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Okay, adding research implementation to my to-do list as we speak. What else you got?
All right, don't underestimate the power of sharing your journey with the world. And I'm not talking about endless social media posts, but I'm talking about blogging.
Blogging. Is blogging still a thing?
Blogging is definitely not dead.
Yeah.
It's a great way to, first of all, position yourself as a thought leader in the data science community. And it's also a really good way to solidify your own understanding. Like they say, the best way to learn is to teach.
Write about it, talk about it. Yeah, it forces you to get clear on the concepts.
Exactly. And you never know who might stumble upon your blog.
Yeah.
It could be a potential employer. It could be a collaborator for a cool new project.
Opens doors you didn't even know were there.
Exactly.
I love it. Okay, so we've got our GitHub portfolio, our research implementation projects. We're blogging up a storm. What's the final piece of the puzzle when it comes to building that online presence?
Think of it this way. You've created all this amazing content, right? You're showcasing your skills, your passion. Wouldn't it be great to have a central hub where you can bring it all together?
Your home base.
Yes, and that's where a personal website comes in.
A data science headquarters for your online presence.
I love that. That's a good one. It's a space where you can tell your story, highlight your experience, and it just makes it so much easier for people to find you, to connect with you.
It's like the cherry on top of your data science sundae.
Exactly. It shows that you're serious, that you're going the extra mile, and it's a great creative outlet too,
So much good stuff in there. Okay, so you've built this impressive online presence. Your GitHub is overflowing with cool projects. Your blog posts are going viral in the data science community. Now comes, I think, the scary part for a lot of people, actually applying for jobs.
It's the hurdle.
It
Right.
is. Any tips for navigating that process? Because it can be so daunting, especially in a competitive field like data science.
First and foremost, remember that you're not just looking for any job. You're looking for the right job,
Right.
the one that you're actually excited about.
Beep.
Yes, take your time. Don't be afraid to be picky. Really research those companies, those roles, and when you do find one that you're really interested in, don't just fire off a generic application.
Don't just copy and paste.
No, tailor it. Make sure your resume speaks directly to the specific skills and experience they're looking for. And same with your cover letter. Really let your personality shine through.
Let them know why you're excited about their company.
Yes, exactly. And, don't get discouraged if you don't hear back right away or if you get a few rejections. It's a numbers game.
Persistence is key.
Yes. Just keep learning, keep growing, and the right opportunity will come along. It always does.
I love that. So much good advice in there. This has been an incredible deep dive, I have to say. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your expertise with us today.
My pleasure, truly. I could talk about data all day.
It's infectious, your passion, I love it. And to our amazing listeners, thank you for joining us on this data-driven adventure. Remember, the world of data science is vast, it's constantly evolving, but the most important thing is to just stay curious. Don't be afraid to dive in, to get your hands dirty, and just keep asking questions.
So well said. Who knows, maybe one of our listeners will be teaching us about the latest data science breakthroughs in the near future.
I love that thought. The student becomes the master. So until next time, keep exploring, keep experimenting, and most importantly, keep that data fire burning bright.